What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, LCD Boxing, home of the U.S. demographic. And I just want to recap the Danny Garcia versus Ivan RedKach fight and what I saw and what I thought about it the other night. I know I'm late, but, sometimes I get busy around here. But let's pick it up, man. So this is the first time we see Danny Garcia in a long time. He was supposed to fight Errol Spence Jr., but we all know what happened with that car accident. Pushed the Spence fight back. So now he probably looking for either a Spence fight or maybe a shot at Manny Pacquiao or maybe even a shot at Bud. Who knows. But anyway, let's get into it, man. Here we are at the beginning of the fight. Both fighters walking in, taking in the moment. Danny Garcia, he looked ready. And, Ivan RedKach, he looked ready. And, they get into it. And, they start boxing, and from round one, you can kind of see that Danny Garcia is doing this methodical approach, walking this fighter down, but he doing it, behind the intelligent jab and making these little subtle movements while RedKach, you can kind of see he a little weary to trade because, he probably worried about that left hook, but Danny Garcia has got power in both hands, man. We didn't seen him knock people out with right hands and left. Everybody always talk about the left hook that he catch you in between punches, but he knocked out Brandon Rios with a right hand. Zab Judah was giving him the business, and Zab got brave and got too close, and he put Zab down with a right hand, cut him. So he got power in both hands. But as you can see here in these little highlights, he throwing a jab, throwing straight right hands, right hooks, and left hooks, and he go to the body real good, slowing RedKach down. And in the middle of the fight, while I was watching it live, I noticed that RedKach at some point lost the will to, trade with Danny. He was feeling those heavy punches from Garcia, and he was backing off, but he never quit in the fight. He was still trying to catch Danny and take it to him, but he was just outmatched. You could kind of see there's a clear difference in class and skill. And I don't want to say it was a boring fight, but it definitely wasn't boring because it had good action. But I kind of expected the result we got. I actually was thinking Danny was going to stop RedKach, but he hurt him real bad a couple times and almost had him out of there, but the RedKach was saved by the bell and made it back to the corner. But Danny Garcia, he kept his approach, and then in the middle rounds, you could see him stepping up the tempo. He was walking his man down a lot more, and he was putting his punches together, throwing combinations, and then getting out of there. I seen RedKach, catch Danny a couple times with some really good body shots, but by the time he whooped Amir Khan quit. It took him 12 rounds to stop peg leg Benavidez, and then he fought this dude, Calvin Knockers, and was trying to trade with Calvin Knockers and ended up, winning the fight against Calvin Knockers. But we saw Bud get hit a lot, man. That's what made that fight exciting. If it wasn't for that action with Calvin Knockers catching Bud on the, coming on the way in, trying to trade shots, that fight would have been boring, man. Nobody really wanted to see that fight anyway, but because of that action, by RedKach when Bud was coming in, him dropping Bud, that made the fight not so boring. But I don't think Terence Crawford got room to talk about anybody being boring, because he can't even get a fight with the top welterweights because he's stuck over there at ESPN when he need to be at PBC. He got all the money and all the fighters is over there at PBC. He could fight, he probably could finish his career fighting those guys over there at the PBC. Don't get me wrong. If Bob Arum will make the fight on his end, he could fight those guys right now. But it seemed like for whatever reason, they were not really pushing the Bud fight versus Spence or versus anybody else, really. Meanwhile, Sean Porter, now he calling Bud out again. And, I don't know what's going on, man. I just want to see him fight. I want to see Bud fight because to this day, to this minute, he still ain't really done nothing at welterweight. Not comparing him to any of those fighters at PBC. He had the nerve to say that the Danny Garcia fight, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, but he doing all the squeaking, but ain't nobody oiling him up because